Hi everybody and welcome back. Now as you can see here, we're using Python's idle shell for this lecture, and that's because we want instant feedback from what we're going to be doing during the lecture. So we were introduced briefly in the last lecture to Python's if statement. And every if statement is like a test, and these tests are called conditional tests. And that's because each test can be evaluated as either true or false, depending on the conditions within them. If a conditional test evaluates the true, Python executes the code following the if statement. If the test evaluates the false, Python ignores the code following the if statement. The simplest conditional test checks whether the value of a variable is equal to the value of interest. So let's take a look. Let's create a new variable called password, and let's give that the value of Tony. Perfect. Now let's compare and see if our value within password, which is Tony, is equal to Tony, which could come from user input. And it is. So as we've seen plenty of times, we first assign the value of Tony to the variable password. A double equal sign is called the equality operator. The equality operator returns true if the values on both sides of it match, and false if they don't match. So in our example here, we know that the value on the left hand side of the equality operator, password, contains the value Tony. And on the right hand side of the equality operator, we have Tony's. So when we press enter, we are returned true because both sides on the equality operator are equal to each other. When you are testing for equality in Python, case matters. Two values with different capitalization are not considered equal. So let's take a look. Password is equal to Tony with a capital T. And we know that's going to be false because we know our password is Tony with a lower t. False. Okay, so far so good. If the case matters, like when it does when you're using a password or a sign-in form, then this behavior is very useful. But if it doesn't matter, then you'll need to convert the variable's value to lowercase before conducting your tests. And let's take a look now at how we would do that. First, let's create a new password. Password 1. And let's assign it the value Frank with an uppercase F. Great. Now let's take that value and apply our lowercase method and compare it to Frank. True. So here we can see we've taken the value Frank with an uppercase F, we've lowered it, and we've compared it to Frank with a lowercase f, and we've gotten the result of true. So this has been a brief introduction into conditional tests and the if statement in particular, and we'll look how to use that in bigger programs in the next lecture. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next lecture.